part of the reason we're doing this is because we wanted to give Amani, Ben, and Chi all the best parts of a normal graduation. And that includes having someone get up and talk shit for a while they wait to get their degree. Unfortunately, we were unable to recruit Harleen Hain for the job of shit talker. So here I am. Apparently, having an American accent and no facial hair makes you a good replacement for Harleen. I can only hope the Western Australians will double my money next year for the same job. Although double nothing is still nothing, so I'm not holding out for it. When Chris first asked me to do the graduation ceremony, I thought, why subject everyone to such a horrible experience for the sake of only 3 graduates? But then I realized that collectively, these 3 have spent more time at university than an entire class of commerce students. They deserve every part of the graduation: the regalia, the ceremony, and the parade. Unfortunately, parades down George Street are off limits this year, unless you're protesting vaccinations. Which is fair in a way, because anti-vaxxers have probably never walked in a graduation parade. Everyone should get one. No, we wanted to keep safety as a priority at this graduation, and so that's why only vaccinated people are allowed to come and drink copious amounts of alcohol, attempt the slack line, or try riding a horse. So to start talking about the graduates, I just want to acknowledge the sheer size of what they've earned at university. And I'm not talking about their student loans. Of course, I'm talking about their degree. See, when most students finish their undergraduate, they're faced with a choice. They can either take their new skills and knowledge, find a meaningful job, and contribute to society, or they can go back to uni for another 5 years. But in the last 5 years, Amani, Ben, and Chi have gone above and beyond what's expected of an undergraduate. They mostly showed up on time, they were often sober, and they kept sexual misconduct to a minimum. Well, one of them did. Ben only gets to conduct himself sexually on his birthday. Sorry, Ben, it's going downhill from here. But they have each made a significant contribution to the field of genetics, contribute to the gene pool, and that's often by accident. Speaking of accidents, I'd like to start talking about our first graduate, Amani Thomas. While I'm sure Amani was a planned baby, she is very accident prone. In fact, her first name is the result of an accident and not a spelling error like most people think. The accident happened when she was just a baby, lying naked on her mother's lap. She had her first reaction to milk and had a bowel motion that was so explosive, even her mother shouted, "Ah, my knee!" And Mani has been shitting herself ever since. Some of her other great accidents include the first time she tried surfing when she accidentally cut off most of her ear. Or the time she tried roasting a chicken and accidentally ignited a flame-resistant oven mitt. Or the time she pretended to flash her boobs out the office window and accidentally flashed her boobs out the office window. But the reason Amani gets into so many accidents is because of her sense of adventure. She's always trying new sports, new hobbies, or changing her sexual orientation. And it's this sense of adventure that compelled her to do a PhD. So now I'd like to welcome a woman to award Amani with her PhD, who's the only woman whose surname can accurately describe their location, at least right now. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Julia Horsfield.
planning to say anything, but this is even before we get to the lab accident. Marnie has been an absolute pleasure to have in the lab, and she could have done anything, this person. So artistic, so creative, and such a wonderful joy, and I think the lab misses her every day, her vibrant, bright personality and her creativity and sense of humour, sense of fun. More than makes up for exploding a few things. Congratulations, Amani, and it's been a long, hard journey, and it's so well deserved, and I'm so very proud today to be able to award you with this wonderful, high quality piece of paper. Frame it, hang it on your wall, and anytime you feel like coming back to study again for something else, just look at it. Thank you, it's been such a pleasure, and congratulations.
Wow, that was great. What a display of emotion. I bet our next graduate is incredibly uncomfortable right now. Usually when Ben sees a display of emotion, he becomes uncomfortable and has to leave the room immediately. Coincidentally, this is also how he reacts to most dairy products. It's actually Ben's passion that brought him here today. Even though he has the size and emotional appetite of a small tree, it's Ben's passion that led him to become a researcher. I remember when the first time I met Ben, it was at a party, and he stood out immediately because he was so tall and thin, and his hair looked like foliage. He looked like a young wizard. Which is why I knew I was in trouble when the first words he said to me were, "Periventricular nodular heterotopia." I thought I'd been hexed. But it turns out that Ben is just extremely passionate about his research topic, and he wanted to talk about it. And of course, it was that sense of passion that has helped him through to do his PhD. Now that he's got his degree, he can cast aside his robes and staff and focus on his greatest love, science, with his second greatest love, video games, and focus on his hobbies, like listening to music and his relationship with Rio. Told you it would get worse. To give Ben his PhD, I'd like to welcome to the stage a man whose name is the only thing whiter than Ben's complexion, Dr. Stephen Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor. With all the jokes aside, it's been an absolute pleasure to have been in the laboratory for the last God knows how long. The guy set out to well, be a problem, really. The first thing he did was perennially keep on melting our supercomputer. That was, he got out of bed on Monday morning, aiming to do that most weeks, I think. And so would regularly appear at my office door telling me that that's what had happened. The second thing is, a major achievement was to show that most of the DNA samples in my laboratory are full of other junk and crap. And that's been one of, that was a whole chapter in his PhD. How filthy we are. So thank you, Ben. The compliments keep on coming. But seriously, Ben was one of those students you meet as an undergraduate, and you are just absolutely awestruck with a guy whose brain is large and wide, and he's curious, and he's really keen to throw himself at questions which are tough. And my word, he's done a magnificent job. It's been such a pleasure, so much of a pleasure that I've kept him on. I've given him a job, so he's not going away. what kept on happening is we had some pretty eminent some visitors to the laboratory while Ben was doing his PhD, and they kept on offering him jobs too. And I used to sort of drag them away and say, my invitation for you to meet my PhD students is not an invitation to solicit yourself. But that didn't work. They kept on offering it. And I think what they realised is they had a pretty awesome talent in front of them, and I think that was self-evident to them. So congratulations, Ben. There are some deficits and some chinks in Ben's organisational abilities. Hence why this degree has the Marnie Louise Thomas. It'll do as a prop, because I think the real one does exist. It has been handed out, and I've got the book sitting on my desk to prove it. Congratulations, Ben.
Here we go. This is a good one.
Brace yourself.
That's great. I always knew Ben was organized. Good. So far we've heard how Amani's sense of adventure and Ben's passion have compelled them to do PhDs. She signed up for hers by accident. She thought PhD stood for Postgraduate Horse Diploma. And showed up to her interview in assless chaps and riding. She was immediately offered a project. Some people describe Chi as being crazy, or that horse girl, or that crazy horse girl. But I think of Chi more like a Google Home or Siri. You're pretty sure it's smart, but it says a lot of dumb shit. Hey Chi, where are the car keys? There are 19 possible locations for the car keys. Which would you like to search first? Hey Chi, tell me about your favorite city in Europe. Finding results for Vietnam. But there are a few reasons for Chi's apparent lack of common sense, and they're all grazing in the paddock right now. She spent her childhood taking care of horses instead of enjoying books, movies, or the company of other humans. Which is why she still thinks that Wingardium Leviosa is the scientific name for seagull. Got the kid there, that was good. But despite her childhood's lack of personal affection, it made up for it in grit. When faced with an unpleasant task, like living with me, or working with you all, she will never quit. She'll complain, often and loudly, but she won't quit. And it's that grit that has helped her through the challenges of her PhD and to earn her title as Dr. Chi Sutherland, a title which will confuse many people when they first meet her. To award Chi with her PhD, I'd like to welcome the only woman from Boston that I know who doesn't have a drug problem. Dr. Erin McCauley.
Thank you, Liam, for that very accurate introduction. I confess I am from Boston. I do not have a drug problem. And I could not be more proud to stand up here and award Chi this degree. I actually am secretly excited that I get to do this instead of Harleen Hayne or whoever else would do this. I cannot say enough about Chi. I actually want to just say that she did not show up to her interview in assless chaps. She was wearing a very professional outfit and was very impressive. And so Mike and I, who met with Chi the very first day that she came in, and she was just thinking about doing a PhD. She wasn't convinced. And we had a brief chat, and she went away and said, well, I'll think about it and I'll get back in touch with you. And then I think it was a few weeks later, she said, you know, I think I do want to sign up and do it. And the very first day that she started, she has been committed and driven, and grit is the word. I think grit's the word to describe she has it. And I have been enlightened by you. You have taught me during this journey together as your supervisor. The project has exploded, and we now have some really exciting new avenues ahead. And I know that COVID is a little bit to blame of why we get to keep She for another year, and we are just so lucky. I have never been so proud of a student. I don't actually feel that you're my student. I mean, we've had this relationship of, you know, supervisor student, but also friends, and we've done it together. But she's been in the driver's seat for this whole thing, and you have absolutely earned this degree, and it's so wonderful to see it here in print. So, without any further ado, I would like to give you your PhD.
I think he was videoing.
We can do many things. We can man on the moon, we can take a video on a
Hey, thank you all for being such a great sport and putting up with that.